This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. There's a lot of noise around the royal family right now, centered on Prince Andrew. Virginia Giuffre's book, Nobody's Girl, was released today, but after a quick read, there's nothing materially new here. Most of the material has been made public through not only Virginia's interviews, documentaries, and court evidence, but also other evidence that has come out. The names mentioned in the book largely mirror those that have appeared in those court filings. Which brings me to the real question here. If the U.S. Congress is in process of redacting names from files that they're about to release, who leaked the emails to the Daily Mail showing Fergie and Andrew remained in contact with Epstein? Andrew's statement that he will stop using his titles, in my opinion, feels unnecessary given there's nothing new in the book. Unless, of course, something else is coming when Congress releases more documents. That's the only explanation that makes the most sense to me.
Let me be clear. No one is protecting Epstein or his associates. The House Oversight Committee is conducting a thorough review of the federal government's handling of the Epstein investigation, one that goes far beyond the discharge petition the legacy media is obsessed with. Public reporting, survivor testimony, and official documents show that Bill Clinton had far closer ties to Epstein. We're working to bring former President Clinton in for a deposition, but the Democrats aren't helping one bit. You would think, since we've already brought two former Trump cabinet secretaries in, they would be willing to bring in a Democrat who's had publicly a far closer relationship with especially Maxwell and Epstein. So why is that? That's a question every reporter should be asking Ranking Member Garcia and every Democrat on the committee. Why aren't you helping to bring Bill Clinton in for an interview and deposition just like we brought in Barr and Acosta?
And I think that that's the answer to why there's so much focus on Prince Andrew. You see, when you look at the media and who is reporting this scandal with Epstein, you see nowhere in the headlines about Bill Clinton. Everywhere from the leftist media, you're seeing the stories about Prince Andrew. Do I think that this is a coordinated campaign to keep Bill Clinton's name out of the media? Yeah, I do. And I think it's being done by the left that so embraced Meghan Markle. To help us speculate about what might be driving Andrew's decision, I want to go back and review some blind items that were seen on Crazy Days and Nights about Prince Andrew. Since Meghan Markle joined the royal family, there have been frequent leaks. Maybe these blinds contain clues about the trouble that might be lying ahead. Now, a quick caveat, please take all these blind items with a grain of salt. I can't vouch for their veracity, so do your own research and draw your own conclusions. Now, when we look at the first blind dated item that comes up, March 8, 2011, I want us to all go back to that time before the demonic Rachel Meghan Markle shoved herself onto the global stage, and remember what it was like before the wedding of Catherine and William. NT the lawyer writes, "It is becoming more and more obvious why Sarah Ferguson was not given an invitation to the forthcoming royal wedding. She is a disaster and has become one from almost day one of the public knowing who she was. I cannot think of a year where she has not done something she ends up apologizing for, and now she's done it again. I don't even think it has been a year since she was secretly taped offering influence for money, and now she is in trouble again for taking $24,000 from a billionaire who was convicted of trying to solicit an underage hooker. Sarah Ferguson has apologized for accepting $24,000 from Jeffrey Epstein. She received the money to help pay off some debts and got it right after the guy vacationed with her ex-husband. Wait, hold on. The guy went on vacation with Prince Andrew? Well, the prince needs to do some apologizing also. This guy is not a one-time bad guy here. He's had to settle a bunch of cases regarding his proclivity for underage women. This is not the guy you want to pal around with and bring near your daughters or have the world think you are best buddies with. I think the guy that they're talking about here is John Bryan, who was Prince Andrew's crisis advisor.
Prince Andrew He was in the Navy. He was 250 days at sea. He never saw his family. I was really pissed because he lied to me. Epstein. And then I did a big thing in the Daily Mail saying that I believed Andrew. And then I found out he was lying. I was so pissed. No, that he was f***ing underage girls. That's not cool.
So with that intro, let's get into the rest of these. Dated January 16, 2015, NT writes, this foreign-born B-list celebrity has A-list name recognition. She has been a spokesperson. She has been a speaker. She is most well known for who she married and some tabloid photos. Even though she has split from her claim to fame, she is always his biggest fan because he knows secrets about her and the things she did to earn money after their split. Yeah, it doesn't really help that it's now known Sarah Ferguson was bankrolled by Epstein for at least 15 years, and it was the princesses, Eugenie and Beatrice and Sarah, who went to see Epstein when he first was released from prison after being convicted as a pedophile. You know, I almost wish I was a fly on the wall to understand what this conversation must have been like with Sarah and her daughters. Like, hey girls, come on, let's go and visit Uncle Jeffrey. He just got out of jail from being convicted with raping underage girls. Like, how do you have that conversation with your own daughters and saying, hey, let's go celebrate. We'll pick up the cake on the way over. Like, what are you thinking? And, you know, like part of me feels like these elites, they don't think that the rules apply to them. And they don't see that what Jeffrey did was at all wrong. You know, and they can't say that Eugenie and Beatrice were so young that they didn't know what was going on. They were adults by that point. So going with their mother, in a way, shows that they were equally complicit in knowing that this guy just got released from prison after being convicted as a pedophile. In my opinion, I think there needs to be accountability for being complicit. It's not like they were kids and they had no choice. They had every choice to not go, but they still went. Why? You know, and I'm not buying Sarah's bullshit of her being scared for her and her children. Honestly, you are part of or connected to the royal family. You mean to tell me that you don't have access to resources that could protect you? Maybe not for you, Sarah, but I'm pretty sure the queen would have made sure that her granddaughters were protected if they were seriously in jeopardy. Anyhow, moving on, dated March 14, 2017, it says here, this always has been and always will be screwed up A-list royal of an older generation is being blackmailed by some yacht owners who have video of him having intimate relations with multiple teens under the age of 15. It is not the first time he has been caught in an underage scandal. He was able to buy his way out last time. I wonder, could this be the story that Virginia Giuffre was telling about her being on Epstein's island with Andrew for the third time and a whole bunch of underage girls? Maybe this is something that he did multiple times. Now, could it be that the real scandal that could possibly be coming out are these videos of these people on camera with these underage girls, and one of them potentially being Prince Andrew? Now, that in itself would warrant stripping all of Andrew's titles. So could it be the palace are trying to stay ahead of this? I do think there's more to this story than Virginia's story, in my opinion. Moving on, dated September 19, 2017, it says, discord is such a polite word. I think of discord as someone getting into a disagreement about whether one should use one lump of sugar or two. This is more nasty than that, but probably not dumpster fire bad. So many moving parts. You would think when you reach a certain age, you start losing interest in the power grab or even caring about anything other than living your life. Not if you are this family. Apparently, a close confidant was pushed out of power by the A-list offspring of a permanent A++ lister. It was done under the guise of age, but really has to do more with the offspring wanting a front and center role for his wife. The confidant pushed out is totally against that. Meanwhile, over on the other side of this family is the guy who basically has never grown up and is living off anyone who will give him money. This includes his kids, who he hits up for money every month. If this were a Shakespeare play, it would be almost time to find the permanent A++ lister dead under mysterious circumstances. So they're talking about Sir Christopher Geit, Prince Charles, Camilla, Queen Elizabeth, Prince Andrew, Beatrice, and Eugenie. So at this point in 2017, Meghan Markle had infiltrated the royal family, and it is possible that it was her who supplied this blind to NT the lawyer. I wouldn't put anything past her at this point. Next up, December 27, 2017, Harry and Meghan, at this point, are engaged. It says here, sticking with the royal theme from the last blind, there is more to tell. That divorced royal couple has apparently been living together for the past several years. Apparently, this couple is extremely hopeful that the person in the most ill of health in the family passes away soon. There are multiple reasons for this horrible wish. It is that person who has kept the female in the divorced couple away from public events. It is also that person who has refused to reinstate allowances for the children of the couple. That person is of the belief that the children should be working. The divorced male in the relationship has been threatening that the kids will start earning money doing reality television and other untoward things if the allowances are not reinstated. And they're talking about Prince Andrew, Fergie, Prince Philip, Princess Beatrice, and Princess Eugenie. You can't knock Prince Philip. He called it like he saw it, just as he called it with Meghan Markle. Dated July 21st, 2018, it says, this foreign-born former way closer to the throne than he is now celebrity can't leave his home country right now for fear of being questioned about 4 Malaysian tween, barely teen girls he interfered with and raped over a 5-day period 6 years ago while with the billionaire. Apparently, the payments for what happened recently showed up in a federal investigation pertaining to something else happening with some businessmen from the country. Yikes. Again, like I said, take with a grain of salt. I don't know the veracity of these blind items that NT has put up, but if they are indeed true, that's really bad. Really, really bad. On to the next one, dated October 14, 2018. It says, one of the biggest creators of tween corn in the world was one of the guests at this very big foreign event over the weekend. He is a supplier to the person who invited him and has also been offered up a very, very, very close relative of the invitation sender when he had a debt to pay back when the relative was about 16 or 17. And I don't know the claims to this, but it says here, wedding of Princess Eugenie, Prince Andrew, and Princess Beatrice. Now, I would imagine that NT is not stupid to put this up without having sufficient evidence to back these claims up. Otherwise, this is grounds for a lawsuit, if it's not true, which is concerning. It says here, July 8, 2019, apparently some of the recent interview between this famous police agency and the disgraced actor dealt with 2 underage residents of that country who had nothing to do with the actor, but everything to do with a royal who was present at the time as the actor when it happened. And they're talking about Kevin Spacey and Scotland Yard with Prince Andrew. Interesting. When you think about this whole web, it's not just Prince Andrew that are accomplices to all of this. You have all of the law enforcement participating and helping Andrew. I mean, look, recently he had his Met Police security guy go and see if he could get information on Virginia Giuffre, like her social security number and other information about her. That's why I keep saying that Harry and Meghan only want this IPP status because of the access that they would have to intelligence. I mean, it's the most dangerous thing. And the fact that it's coming out now that Prince Andrew abused his taxpayer-funded police to go ahead and do that type of action, no doubt in my mind that Harry and Meghan would do the very same and come after all of us. Something that Uncle Andrew has in common with Meghan and Harry, in Virginia's book today, she revealed that Andrew had sent a whole bunch of trolls online to harass and threaten her. Kind of makes you wonder about the people who work for these royals. How far would they go for their master? You look at Meghan and Harry and the amount of lying that the palace had done. In addition, behind the scenes, getting people silenced and suppressed because Meghan didn't like what was being said online. And now you have this coming out. It makes you wonder the type of people who are working for the palace and the lengths that they will go to protect people who legitimately, if this is true, all of this stuff coming out about Andrew, should be in jail. And anybody else who helped in this cover-up should be in jail, in my opinion. Now, this next one is interesting. Dated August 1st, 2019, it says, a royal, not named Meghan, said that the feds sent photos over to her parental unit to be looked at and to help identify teens in photos with the parental unit and also teens in photos engaged in intimate acts with at least 4 celebrities from her home country. And that would be Princess Beatrice and Prince Andrew. On to the next one, June 14, 2019. It says here, I know they thought they got away with it. When they threw that long-time A-list celebrity in his country under the bus after his death with planned leaks and a parade of victims, they raised a toast with a bottle of wine that cost $25,000 while they watched child porn they had filmed and collected. Most of it they had filmed. One is a foreign-born permanent A-list musician who has briefly touched the third rail of child porn but got away with his lame excuse because of his fame. The other, a foreign-born permanent A-list socialite type who has been in this space before because of his banishment from multiple countries for similar offenses. Not so much child porn. Authorities and law enforcement wouldn't call it that because of the international incident it would create. It is what it is, of course. Tweens and teens being forced into intimate acts with the men while they were filmed. The men obscured either with mask or not shown at all. Their voices altered. Our socialite type would buy the tweens and teens while the dead celebrity and the musician used their fame to attract underage groupies who then would be put through 10 minutes to 10 hours of intimate relations and filming in as many situations as possible, all the while being filmed, usually with the celebrities. It was unknown filming. With our socialite type, the victims all knew they were being filmed and what would happen if they protested. Now, with some recent court filings, some of the socialite type's actions are coming to light, and he will make sure to take down as many as possible if needed. He knows because of his stature, he is safe. This would not be true for any of the others. And they're talking about Jeffrey Epstein, Jimmy Savile, Pete Townshend, and Prince Andrew. I'm sorry, guys. I just can't continue reading these because it's making me truly sick to my stomach. Now, what I will do, though, is I will leave the rest of them for you. Feel free to pause the video and read the rest of them, but it's the same thing over and over. And if this is the case and this is what really the royals are afraid of, I don't know. This could be devastating to the institution. I don't know where Meghan Markle fits in all of this, but there is a reason for this targeting of Andrew. Now, is it because of all this stuff? I don't know. But I do think that this is gonna get worse. And, sad to say that it's not only Andrew who's participated in some of the most vile and heinous abuses, if indeed true, of children. And that's why I think there has been a lot of delay in releasing more of these files because of the sensitive nature like this, showing us how depraved some of the most powerful people in the world are. But those are just some of my thoughts. Definitely let me know your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!
was such a fraud.